What if I told you the only thing standing between you and your potential is a lie you keep telling yourself? Not the world, not the critics, not your past, but the voice in your own head that whispers, "You're not enough. You'll fail again. Who do you think you are?" That voice, it doesn't shout. It doesn't fight fair. It hides behind your thoughts, disguises itself as logic, wraps itself in fear, and wears the mask of humility. But it's not truth. It's sabotage. Self-doubt is not a weakness. It's a weapon. And if you don't recognize it, it will bury your gifts before the world ever sees them. You see, every powerful man you admire, every legacy that's been built, every mountain ever climbed, it didn't start with certainty. It started with resistance. And most of that resistance came from within. The battlefield of greatness isn't out there in the world. It's in your mind, in the quiet moments when you start to believe that you're not qualified, that you missed your chance, that your voice doesn't matter. But that's the lie. Because the truth is, you were born with power. You were born with the ability to think, to choose, to endure, to create, to overcome. That's not wishful thinking. That's divine design. And if the enemy, whether spiritual, internal, or circumstantial, can convince you to doubt yourself, then he doesn't have to stop you, because you'll stop yourself. How many opportunities have you talked yourself out of? How many dreams have you delayed because you were waiting to feel ready? How many times have you hesitated because that quiet, invisible lie told you, "Not now, maybe later, you're not good enough"? That's how doubt works. It doesn't attack your actions, it attacks your identity. You cannot live a powerful life with a powerless mind. You cannot walk in purpose while agreeing with fear, and you will never unlock what's inside you if you keep silencing the truth with self-doubt. This is not about arrogance. This is about alignment, realigning with the truth of who you are and what you're capable of. Not someday, not when you're perfect. Now. Because the longer you wait to believe in yourself, the longer the world waits for what you were meant to bring. So if you're tired of second-guessing, if you're done with shrinking to fit into a version of yourself that feels safe, if you're ready to stop asking for permission to be who you already are, then this message is for you. This isn't motivation. This is war. A war against the lies you've lived with. A war against the story that says, "Stay small." A war against the false belief that you need someone else to unlock your potential. You don't need permission. You need clarity. And clarity begins with the decision to stop feeding self-doubt and start feeding the truth. So today, we're going to expose the lie. We're going to confront it, disarm it, and destroy it. Because once you eliminate self-doubt, you don't just gain confidence. You gain access. Access to the version of you that's been waiting, hidden, buried, but never broken. And when you unlock that inner power, no fear, no failure, no force on this earth will be able to silence you again. Recognize the root. Self-doubt isn't yours, it was planted. Before you can eliminate self-doubt, you must understand where it came from. Because self-doubt isn't born, it's built. You didn't come into this world second-guessing your worth. You didn't start this life comparing your value or questioning your abilities, that voice, that hesitation, that fog in your mind. Someone taught you that. It was planted, and it grew silently. Maybe it came from a teacher who made you feel invisible, a parent who loved you but never saw you, a friend who used your fears as jokes, a failure that lingered longer than it should have, or a system that told you, "Be realistic, know your place." And over time, you stopped fighting back. You accepted that maybe, just maybe, they were right. So you lowered your voice, quieted your desires, and wore invisibility like armor. Not because you were weak, but because you were surviving. But today, survival isn't enough. You're not here just to survive. You're here to rise, to become, to reclaim what was stolen by silence and shame. And that begins with one powerful truth. The voice of self-doubt is not your voice. It may sound like you. It may echo inside your own thoughts. But it's an echo, not the origin. It was introduced, repeated, reinforced, until it became familiar, but never true. If you believe self-doubt is just how you are, you'll never challenge it. But if you realize it was given to you, then you also realize you don't have to keep it. You have the power to uproot what doesn't belong in your soil. You can question the thoughts that question you. You can confront the voice that tells you you can't with a louder one that says, "Watch me," but don't expect this to be easy. Eliminating self-doubt isn't just about positive thinking. It's a process of unlearning, of unbinding, of unbecoming who the world tried to make you, so you can return to who you were always meant to be. You want to unlock inner power? Start here. Recognize the lie for what it is. Call it out. Challenge its authority. Because once you know that self-doubt didn't come from your soul, you stop giving it a seat at your table. And when you take back that seat, clarity comes. Confidence grows. And your true voice, it starts to rise. Confront the mirror. Who told you you weren't enough? You see, the mirror doesn't lie, but your mind does. Not because it wants to betray you, but because it's been taught to see through a distorted lens. When you stand in front of your reflection, you're not just looking at your features, you're looking at your story. And if that story was written by disappointment, criticism, or comparison, you'll see yourself as less than what you truly are. So ask yourself, who told you you weren't enough? Was it someone you loved who couldn't love you back? Was it failure dressed as finality? Was it silence when you needed someone to speak life into you? Somewhere along the road, you stopped asking who you could become and started settling into who you thought they would accept. You folded, you shrank, you smiled while suffocating, not because you were weak, but because strength was never mirrored back to you. But let me say something to you that might just shatter the ceiling you've been living under. There is nothing wrong with you. There never was. You were never too sensitive. You were never too ambitious. You were never too much. You were too aware, too deep, too destined for shallow approval. That's what made them uncomfortable. That's what made you question yourself. The people who made you doubt yourself, they weren't reflecting your value. They were projecting their own limitations, and you swallowed their limitations as your identity. That ends now. Today, you stop borrowing the eyes of others to see yourself. Today, you look in the mirror and reclaim your name. You're not broken. You're buried. You're not weak. You've been waiting. You're not lost. You've been looking in the wrong places for permission to rise. But you don't need permission anymore. You need clarity. You need courage. You need confrontation. You want to eliminate self-doubt? Stand in front of that mirror, and not with filters or affirmations, but with honesty. Tell your reflection, I'm coming back, not as who I've been told to be, but as who I was born to be. Because when you speak truth to yourself, the lies start to lose their power. The war between your spirit and your voice. You've been carrying a quiet war inside, a war between who you are and what you say to yourself. Your spirit was born bold. It came into this world with fire, with instinct, with a sense that it was meant to build, lead, and shape something eternal. But then the voice came, the voice that questioned, the voice that doubted, the voice that said, "Be realistic. Don't expect too much. Who do you think you are?" That voice, it didn't come from your soul. It came from survival. It came from moments where you had to shrink just to be safe, where you stayed quiet just to avoid conflict, where you stopped dreaming because dreams started to feel dangerous. There is a difference between the voice of fear and the voice of wisdom. Fear says, stay small, stay hidden. Wisdom says, grow strong, stay grounded. Fear imitates concern, but it's just disguised hesitation. Fear will use your own voice against you, make it sound familiar so you stop questioning it. Many of us spend our entire lives listening to that voice until we no longer recognize the sound of our own spirit. But your spirit never left. It's been whispering through every sleepless night, burning through every moment you felt overlooked, tugging at your chest every time you settled for less. That's not anxiety. That's potential, knocking on the inside of your ribs, asking when you'll finally let it breathe. So here's what you must do. You silence self-doubt not by yelling over it, but by listening deeply beneath it. What's hiding under that doubt? A memory? A betrayal? A moment where you made a mistake and never forgave yourself? Find it, not to relive it, but to reclaim it. To stand at that wound and say, "You may have marked me, but you don't own me." Because every voice that says you can't has never met the version of you that refuses to be silenced. You eliminate self-doubt when your voice stops repeating fear and starts releasing faith. You unlock your inner power when your words align with your worth, not your wounds. The strength hidden in your scars. You don't just wake up one day and become confident. You don't flip a switch and suddenly silence the years of doubt, fear, and hesitation. Real confidence, the kind that doesn't shake in the storm, is not built in comfort. It's built in chaos. It's forged in the dark nights when no one clapped for you. It's carved into your soul from the times you showed up when everything inside you wanted to quit. It's born when you fail and choose not to stay there. The world teaches you to hide your scars, but what they don't tell you is that your scars are proof you healed. They are not signs of weakness. They're records of war. They show that you've been through the fire and came out different. Self-doubt thrives when you pretend you've never bled. It grows when you chase perfection instead of authenticity. It lingers when you cover the very battles that made you strong. But when you stop hiding your scars, you stop giving doubt power, because every scar says, "I've been wounded, but I'm still here. I've been broken, but I've rebuilt. I've been lost, but I kept walking." You eliminate self-doubt not by pretending you've never fallen, but by embracing the truth that you always got back up. And that right there, that quiet resilience, that silent persistence, that sacred decision to rise again and again, is your power. Don't you understand? Your strength isn't in how polished you appear. It's in how honest you are with your pain. It's in how unashamed you are to say, "This is what tried to break me, but this is what made me." You're not weak for doubting. You're human, but you're powerful when you refuse to let that doubt define you. Every time you move forward despite the voice that says you're not enough, you're silencing a lie and building a truth. And that truth is this: you were never meant to be ordinary. You were designed to be unshakable. So, self-doubt isn't some unstoppable beast. It's a shadow, one that grows only when you keep your light hidden. And you are not powerless. You've got more strength than you've been told, more fire than you've allowed to burn, more calling than you've dared to answer. Will you keep telling yourself the same old lie, or will you finally rise in the truth? Will you keep shrinking to fit in rooms that were never meant to hold you? Or will you break the door down and build what you were born for? No one's coming to whisper your worth into your ear. You have to declare it. No one's coming to hand you belief. You have to decide it. So here's what you do. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the fear to disappear. Move anyway. Your power has been buried beneath your doubt. Dig it up, stand in it, walk in it, and never look back. Because once you've tasted what it feels like to believe in yourself, you'll never settle for that lie again.